Alright, in this video I'm going to derive each of the constant acceleration equations, but you don't need, I suppose, to watch this video. It really comes down to whether you're disturbed by them or not. They are relatively easy to do. You could prove them on your own if you wanted, and I actually heartily recommend that you do that. But just in case you want to see where they come from, this is an attempt to make that happen. We will start with the general, the given that the acceleration is constant. Obviously, we can't get constant acceleration equations in situations where the acceleration is not constant. But if the acceleration is constant, then it is equal to its average value. Sorry, that was pretty bad. Let's clean that up a little bit. Equal to its average value. And the average value is always equal to delta V over delta T. So we have, putting all those together, that the acceleration is delta V over delta T. And this is, of course, constant acceleration only. I want to keep stressing that. This is not always true, but it's true in the case where the acceleration is known to be constant. So then we can invert that, and we can multiply by delta T on both sides, giving us a different set of equations, which is that delta V is a delta T. Delta V, of course, is V minus the initial velocity, because that's what delta V means. By definition, it's V minus V initial. And of course, likewise, delta T is T minus T initial, but we said T initial is going to be 0, so delta T is just T. And if we put those things into this equation, we end up with V minus V0 equals A times T minus 0, which of course is just A times T. And that allows us to get to our final form, which is that V at any time is V at the start plus A times T. This is what was in the other video listed as CAE1. Alright, so this is our first equation, and I'm going to talk about it graphically. So I'm going to say, imagine we will make a graph here, and we say velocity versus time, and our curve would look something like this. I don't like that graph, sorry. Something like this, where the initial value is V0. And the slope is A. And I'm going to pick some moment that I'm talking about. That's going to be my value of T that I'm talking about. So we know that the displacement is the area under this graph, or trapped by this graph. So this area, which I'm going to think of as a rectangle and a triangle. So delta x, which is the area trapped, is a rectangle plus a triangle. And the rectangle has, let's color code this a little bit better. So let's say that we're going to have green area is this, and orange area is this. So now I'm really going to say it's the, to be consistent here, I'm going to say it's the rectangle plus the triangle, color coded. And the rectangle is easy, it's V0 times T. And the triangle is pretty easy because it's 1/2 times the base, which is T, times the height, which we can see is V minus V0. So a couple of things go on with that. Let's keep going with this for a moment. V0T plus 1/2 times T times a thing, which itself, V minus V0 is V0 plus AT minus V0. So we get that. Go a little further, V0t, oops, sorry, trying to keep the colors straight. V0t plus 1/2 t times AT. And so we can see that this is V0t plus 1/2 AT squared. And of course, all the way on the other side, we know that this was delta x, which is x minus x0. And so we're left with that. The final position is, well, the initial position, because I bring that over this side, plus V0t plus 1/2 AT squared. And we see here that this is the thing that we called CAE4. And that was sort of accidental, actually. That wasn't where I was expecting to go for this one. I'm really trying to do number 3, but we'll get there in a second, or number 2. And we get the other one we wanted, which is the parabolic behavior. So we have those two things. All right, flashing back to what we had before, we have, this is the graph from our velocity equation on a VT graph, and delta x is going to be the area under, or the area trapped by, which is this green region plus this orange region, and the green region was this, and the orange region was this. So I'm rolling my derivation back a couple of steps, and I'm doing that because I also want to say, hey, how about the average velocity? And the average velocity is always delta x over delta t. That's always true. So in our case, it's going to be V0t plus 1/2 v minus V0t all over, well, delta t is just t. So we're going to find that V average is V0 plus 1/2 v minus V0, or V0 plus 1/2 v minus 1/2 V0, which is 1/2, 1/2 V0 plus 1/2 v, or 1/2 V0 plus v. We get V average is, we factor out that half, and we get V0 plus v. And this thing, that's the constant acceleration equation number 2 that we had. It's worth dwelling a minute or two on this. V average is 1/2 V0 plus v, but whenever we take 1/2 of two things, this is the mean velocity. So we have that the average velocity equals the mean velocity. And again, for constant accelerations, we've used that to derive this result. So in general, the average velocity is not equal to the mean velocity, but in the constant acceleration case, it turns out it is. Why is it? Where is that coming from? It's actually relatively straightforward to see. Let's go back and draw our VT graphs again. And we're talking about this. And now remember that if this is our time t, this is the value v. Right? At time t. And that this was the value v0. And the basic idea is that the average velocity is that velocity, that constant velocity, that produces the same displacement in the same amount of time. That's actually the definition of any average, is the constant value of a function that produces the same change in the same amount of time. So remember that delta x is the area. So the real official area, if you want, is this area. And I need to now place a constant velocity that has the same area. But constant velocity is a horizontal on a VT curve. So I'm looking for some value of a line that I put somewhere that would have the same area. So let's say I put it here. And you're like, no, that doesn't work because this little bit of area is swamped by the extra area I pick. I'm missing this little bit area, but I gain all this area, so they're not the same. So that was a bad choice. If instead I were to put it here, then I have the same sort of issue where over here now I'm missing this little bit of area, I gain all this area, it doesn't work. But the magic place to put it would be here, so that this triangle, the area that I'm missing because it's above my line, is exactly congruent to this triangle, the area that I'm gaining because it's blank but I have it covered there. And we can see immediately that that splits this. The only way to make that work is if we split it so that the V average would have to land exactly between the initial and final velocity. And notice that it depends on the linearity here of the velocity, therefore on the constancy of the acceleration, that for a different curve, that argument would not hold. And let's see if we can sketch such a curve really fast. Let's make it extreme. And so our area would be everything in here. Our halfway point between the start and end, well, our ending point, I guess, is here. Our starting point is there. So halfway between them is this. And we can see that the missing area here is completely swamped by the excess area here. So this thing did not create the same areas in that rectangular the rectangular space, this rectangular space, has way more area than this thing. The average is not the mean here. It comes down to the linearity. That's probably more than you were looking for, but it's worth noting. Remember that V average is defined as delta x over delta t, which means we could turn this around and say that therefore delta x must be V average times delta t. All right, the displacement is the average velocity times the time, always. The average velocity is exactly that constant velocity that produces the same displacement, so it is always true that delta x is V average times delta t. Keep in mind that V average is not the same as V. But we can then say over here we have x minus x0, and over here we have V average times t minus 0, because that's what delta t is. And putting those things together, we get that the final position is the initial position plus the average velocity times the time. And this thing is CAE number 3. So we've proven 4 of the 5 and some others along the way. Okay, remember that we have now these two constant acceleration equations. They're numbers 1 and 4. And I now want to eliminate the time. So I'm going to take the first equation, and I say I can write this as that the time is v minus v0 over a. I haven't done anything there, but then I can put that up here and then see what comes out. And I get that x is x0 plus v0 times v minus v0 over a plus, I'm going to put that just to emphasize again where it's coming from. This is t. And then 1/2 times a times t squared. V minus v0 over a, quantity squared. And then we say this is equal to x0 plus, and I start combining some stuff up. Actually, let's do a couple things along the way. Before I even do that, I'm going to say, let's bring this over and say that this is x minus x. x0, and that's going to be, and now let's multiply stuff out. So we have v0v over a minus v0 squared over a. That's that first term. And then we'll have, let's do it this way, 1/2 a. And then in here, we'll have an a squared on the bottom when we square it. That's easy enough. On the top, we'll have squared v minus v0. So we get v square plus v0 square minus 2 times their product from the a minus b squared kind of thing. All right. Let's write this out one more time. So we have v0v, let's pull this out as a 1 over a, v0v minus v0 square. And over here we'll have 1/2, or 1/2 times 1 over a, and then on the inside v0 square plus v square plus v0 square minus 2v0v. All right. Boy, this is still a mess, right? It's looking pretty awful. But what I'm going to do now is cross multiply by 2a. So we get something like 2a times x minus x0. And then everything that's left over here. So we have a 2, right? We have, when we multiplied by 2a, we got a 2 on the top. So we're going to have a 2 v0v minus 2v0 square. And then we're going to get everybody else coming along for the ride. V square plus v0 square minus 2v v0. Right? We get something like that. Something interesting happens here. The cross term goes away. We have 2v0v minus 2v0v goes away. And then over here we have minus twice something plus the something. So we end up with minus the something. So over here we still have 2a x minus x0, but over on the other side we get 1v squared, whoops, and now we're subtracting v0 squared. It is traditional to write those just reflexively this way, that we get v squared minus v0 squared equals 2a x minus x0. And this is what is listed as CAE number 5. This is the one that doesn't have time information in it explicitly. It's still in it, it just doesn't have it explicitly. And so if you have a problem that doesn't give you the time information and doesn't care about the time information, then this is the one to go with. You can see right there, do you need to be able to do that all the time? You don't. It's always coming down to solve for the time, plug it back into the position equation. We're just doing it all at once with algebra. And as long as you followed along there, you probably never have to do it again in your life. You don't have to commit this proof to memory as long as you sort of trust it.